Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. You can have all the makeup in the world, all the fancy outfits, and you can know every single trick in the book. But there is one move that will make a man fall for you in a way he won't even understand himself. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I've been around a lot of relationships in my life. I've heard all the stories, I've seen all the games, and I've watched people do backflips trying to impress somebody they like. And I'm here to tell you, sometimes we make this thing called love way too complicated. Now, I know a lot of you think men are these mysterious, complicated creatures who can't be figured out. But let me tell you something. We're not all that mysterious. We're actually pretty simple. The problem is a lot of folks spend all this time doing the wrong things to get to us. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've been told to dress a certain way, say certain words, play hard to get, act like you're not interested, all that stuff. But I'm going to give you the real deal here tonight. And I'm going to do it the way I know best, straight, with no chaser. Because, see, when you know the truth about how men work, you stop wasting time doing all the extras and start focusing on what actually matters. Here's the thing about us men. We walk into a room and we size things up. Yeah, we might notice the hair, the smile, the outfit, all that good stuff. But the truth is, that's just the surface. You can look good, smell good, and talk smooth, but if you don't hit us in the heart, none of that is going to stick. You might catch our eye for a moment, but you won't hold our attention. And holding a man's attention, that's the key. And that's where this one move comes in. I'm not talking about some magic trick. I'm talking about something deeper, something that goes past the surface and lands right in the middle of a man's chest. Because a man might not always know how to explain it, but he knows how it feels when it happens. See, most men walk around with this invisible armor on. We live in a world that tells us to be strong, to never show weakness, to carry the load without complaint. And we do it. But that means there are very few places where we can just exhale and be ourselves. When you become that safe place, when you make a man feel like he doesn't have to perform, like he doesn't have to prove anything, you're doing something powerful. And you can't fake that. You can't just say, oh, I value you, and not mean it. We can tell. Men have a radar for real and fake. And trust me, if you're just putting on an act, we'll know. But when it's genuine, when you actually see us for who we are, when you notice the little things we do, when you appreciate the effort, even if it's not perfect, that's when you get us. Let me break it down for you. Imagine a man has been working all day, dealing with stress, trying to make ends meet, trying to keep up with the world's demands. He walks through the door, and instead of hearing what he didn't do, he hears, I'm proud of you. Or instead of getting a list of things that went wrong, he gets a smile and a thank you for everything you do. That right there, that's the move. You just went straight past his defenses and hit him where it matters most. It's not about agreeing with everything he says. It's not about never challenging him. It's about making him feel like he's more than his paycheck, more than his status, more than what he can give you. It's about showing him he's valued as a man, not just as a provider. And here's the beautiful part. When a man feels that from you, when he knows deep down that you're not just in it for what he can do, but for who he is, he's going to give you everything. He's going to open up. He's going to be present. He's going to protect you, and he's going to love you in a way that no game, no trick, no how to get a man article can ever teach. Because the truth is, once you touch a man's heart, his mind will follow, and his actions will prove it every single day. You ever notice how everybody out here is trying to impress somebody? People out here buying clothes they can't afford, driving cars they can't maintain, posting pictures online like their life is perfect just to get a little attention. But the truth is, none of that matters if you can't connect with somebody on a real human level. All the fancy stuff might turn a head for a second, but connection, that's what makes a person stay. Let me tell you something about men. Yeah, we like beauty, we notice style, and we see confidence. But what really sticks in our minds isn't just what we see with our eyes, it's what we feel when we're around you. We remember the feeling you leave with us. That's why I always tell people you can't win somebody's heart just by showing them a highlight reel of your life. You've got to be real, you've got to be genuine, and for a man, that authenticity is like fresh air. I remember talking to a friend of mine one time. He was telling me about this woman he had just met. Now, she wasn't the flashiest person in the room. She didn't have the most expensive clothes. She wasn't trying to act like someone she wasn't. But he said something to me that stuck. He said, man, she made me feel like I didn't have to try so hard. That right there, that's rare, because so many of us are walking around with our guard up, putting on a performance every single day. Think about it. Men are under pressure all the time to succeed, to compete, to provide, to never show weakness. That's the world we live in. And that means most of the time, we don't get to just relax and be ourselves. But when a man finds somebody who makes him feel like he can drop the act, when he doesn't have to prove himself every 5 minutes, that's when you start seeing the real him. And when you see the real him and love that version, not just a polished one, that's when you got something powerful. That's why a relatable story or a real life moment is so important when you're trying to connect with someone. It reminds them you're human too, that you're not perfect, and that you're willing to meet them where they are. Because the truth is, perfection isn't relatable. Nobody can connect to perfect. What people connect to is honesty, vulnerability, and moments where you say, hey, I see you, I get you, and I'm not here to judge you. A man will fall for that kind of energy before he falls for a perfect Instagram photo any day. Because deep down, we're all looking for someone who feels like home, not just someone who looks good on our arm. Home isn't about appearance, it's about comfort, trust, and knowing you're safe. And for a man, finding that in someone is priceless. When you share a story or a laugh that makes him think, wow, I can be myself around this person, you're doing more than entertaining him. You're breaking down walls. And once those walls come down, everything else becomes easier. The conversations flow, the trust builds. And that's when real love can start to grow. Here's the thing, when you connect with a man on that deeper level, you're not just reaching his mind, you're reaching his emotions. And that's what makes him think about you when you're not there. That's what makes him want to call you, want to spend time with you, and want to invest in the relationship. Because it's not about what you can get from him. It's about how you make him feel when he's around you. And I'm going to tell you right now, the world is full of people who look good, but can't connect. That's why so many relationships burn out fast. But when you have that real connection, when you have that moment where he realizes, man, I don't have to be perfect for her to value me. You're no longer just another person in his life. You become the person he can't imagine his life without. A lot of people think love is this big, complicated puzzle. They think it takes all these steps, all these strategies, all these little tricks to get somebody's attention. But the truth is, sometimes it's just one simple thing that makes all the difference. And when it comes to men, there's one simple move that can change everything. Now, here's the problem. Most folks go after the wrong target. They aim for the surface instead of the heart. They spend time trying to impress with looks, with status, with material things, thinking that's what's going to make somebody stick around. Sure, that might get a man to notice you for a minute, but if you really want him to stay, you've got to hit him in a place that's much deeper. Men don't like to admit it, but we're not as tough as we pretend to be. We walk around acting like we've got it all under control, but inside, we've got insecurities, we've got fears, and we've got a whole lot of things we're carrying around. That's why the move I'm talking about works so well, because it goes straight past all the walls we build and speaks to something we don't even talk about. Think about it. Every man you meet has been told his whole life that he has to be strong, he has to handle his business, he can't show weakness. That means most of us have learned to hide parts of ourselves. We don't always talk about how we feel. We don't always let people see the real us. And in a lot of relationships, we're still playing that role, even with the person we're with. But the move that changes everything is when you make a man feel like he doesn't have to perform for you. When he feels like he can show you the good, the bad, and the in-between, and you still see him as valuable. That's not just powerful, that's rare. I've seen it happen. I've seen men who swore they'd never settle down, who said they weren't the relationship type, suddenly change their whole outlook because they found someone who made them feel safe in that way. It wasn't because she was the most beautiful woman in the room. It wasn't because she had the perfect body or the biggest social circle. It was because around her, they felt like they didn't have to prove themselves every second. And when a man feels that, it flips a switch in his mind. Suddenly, he's not just thinking about you in the moment. He's imagining his future with you. Because the truth is, a man might be attracted to 100 different people in his lifetime, but he's only going to give his heart to the one who makes him feel understood. And you know it's crazy. This move isn't loud, it's not flashy, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. It's in the small things. It's in listening to him without judgment. It's in noticing when he's quiet and giving him space instead of pressure. It's in appreciating his effort even when it's not perfect. It's in saying, I'm proud of you, when you can tell the world has been trying to tear him down. When you do that, you're not just building a connection, you're building trust. And once a man trusts you with the parts of himself he doesn't show the world, that's when the bond becomes unbreakable. You stop being someone he likes and you start being someone he needs. See, anybody can make a man laugh. Anybody can make him feel good for an evening, but not everybody can make him feel safe enough to be real. That's why this one move stands out. It's not about doing more, it's about doing the right thing. It's about focusing less on how you look in his eyes and more on how you make him feel about himself. And I promise you, when you master that, you'll have something deeper than attraction, something stronger than infatuation. You'll have his respect, his loyalty, and his heart. And once you have that, you've got the kind of love that lasts. People spend so much time worrying about looking perfect, saying the right thing, and playing every little dating game they've ever heard about. But let me tell you something. None of that will keep a man if you don't have an emotional connection with him. You could be the most beautiful person in the room, but if there's nothing underneath that surface, if there's no authenticity, that beauty fades real quick in his eye. Men aren't as complicated as you think, but we are more sensitive to the realness of a person than most people realize. You might think you've got to put on a show, act like somebody you're not, or constantly maintain this picture-perfect image just to hold his interest. But the truth is, if you can't relax and be yourself around him, he can feel that. And if you can't make him feel like he can relax and be himself around you, you're not going to get the best version of him either. Authenticity is magnetic. You know why? Because it's rare. In a world full of filters, fake smiles, and rehearsed lines, somebody who is just real stands out like a lighthouse in the dark. And when a man meets a woman who is genuine, who isn't trying to be perfect every second, it's refreshing. He doesn't have to figure out what's real and what's just an act. He can feel it. Now, I'm not saying don't look your best or don't take care of yourself. Presentation matters, sure. But you've got to understand that once that initial attraction is there, what keeps it alive is how you connect with him on the inside. You can impress a man's eyes all day long, but if you don't reach his heart, someone else will. And reaching his heart isn't about being flawless. It's about being relatable, vulnerable, and real enough for him to feel safe showing you the parts of himself that aren't flawless either. I've seen men leave situations that look perfect on the outside because deep down, they couldn't be themselves. They felt like they had to constantly perform, constantly prove, constantly live up to an image. And after a while, that gets exhausting. But when a man is around someone who lets him breathe, who accepts him without the constant need to judge or compare, that's when he starts to open up in ways he never has before. And here's something you need to know. Men will protect that kind of connection with everything they've got, because it's rare for us. Most of the time, we're on guard. We don't open up easily because we've learned the hard way that not everybody can be trusted with the real us. But when someone proves through their actions that they can be trusted, that they care about who we are and not just what we can do, that's when loyalty becomes natural. The emotional connection I'm talking about isn't built in one conversation. It's built in the little moments. It's built when you laugh together about something silly. It's built when you ask how his day went and actually care about the answer. It's built when you remember the small details he told you weeks ago and bring them up again. It's built when you show him that you see him, not just the man who shows up with the paycheck or the man who looks good in pictures, but the man underneath all of that. And the beautiful thing is, when you lead with authenticity, you give him permission to do the same. Suddenly, it's not just a relationship where two people are putting on their best face. It's a relationship where two people are showing up as their real selves. And when you've got that, you've got something strong enough to weather just about anything. Perfection might get attention, but authenticity builds trust. And trust is the foundation for everything else. The respect, the love, the commitment. Without that emotional connection, the whole thing is standing on shaky ground. But with it, you don't just have a man's interest, you have his heart. And that's the difference between being someone he likes for a season and being someone he values for a lifetime. When a man can get compliments on his looks, his work, his car, even his style, but there's one thing most men rarely get: genuine appreciation. I'm talking about the kind that's not tied to what he can buy, what he can do, or what he can provide, but appreciation for who he is at the core. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's the move that will make him fall for you. See, men are taught from the time we're little boys that our value is in what we produce. We're told to work hard, to bring something to the table, to prove ourselves through action. And while there's nothing wrong with having ambition, the problem is most of us grow up never really being seen beyond what we can offer. So when somebody comes along who values us for the man we are and not just the things we can do, it hits us in a way we can't shake. This kind of appreciation isn't about showering a man with flattery or pretending he's perfect. Men can spot fake praise a mile away. It's about noticing the little things and letting him know they matter. When you see him put in effort, acknowledge it. When he handles something without you asking, say you appreciate it. When he's trying, even if it's not flawless, let him know you see the intention behind it. That's what sticks. You've got to understand, men don't live in a world where we hear, "I'm proud of you" very often. We're constantly pushed to do more, earn more, and be more. So when we're with someone who says you're enough right now as you are, it's like a weight lifts off our shoulders. That's why genuine appreciation is so powerful. It's not about inflating his ego. It's about letting him know he's more than the roles the world assigns him. I've seen men completely change when they feel that kind of value. A guy who might have been distant starts opening up. A man who used to hold back starts giving more of himself. It's not magic. It's just that when you make a man feel safe and valued, he wants to invest back into the relationship. It's in our nature. We give where we feel appreciated. And here's the thing, appreciation is not one big grand gesture. It's in the everyday moments. It's in saying thank you when he helps with something small. It's in smiling when he walks in the door after a long day. It's in remembering something he told you and bringing it up later to show you were listening. Those things might seem simple to you, but to a man, they're proof that you see him, that you notice him, and that you value him beyond what the rest of the world sees. You've also got to know that genuine appreciation is a two-way street. If you expect a man to pour into you, he has to feel like his effort matters. When a man feels like no matter what he does, it's not enough, he'll eventually stop trying. But when you make him feel like his effort counts, you'll be surprised how much more he's willing to give. And don't just appreciate him when things are perfect. Anybody can do that. Appreciate him when he's struggling, but still showing up. Appreciate him when he's doing his best, even though the outcome isn't perfect. That's when your words will mean the most, because they're coming at a time when he needs to hear them, not just when it's easy to say them. That's the move that gets past the surface and right into his heart. You're telling him, I see you, not just the version of you that everyone else sees, but the real you, the one who's trying every day. And when a man feels seen and valued like that, it's not just attraction anymore, it's attachment, it's connection. It's the kind of bond that makes him want to hold on to you for the long run. When you make a man feel valued, something shifts inside of him. It's not just about liking you anymore. It's about needing you in his life. And I don't mean needing you in a desperate way. I mean, he realizes you're the person he can't replace. You become the one he wants to protect, provide for, and show up for every single day, because you've reached a part of him most people never even touch. Men aren't quick to hand over their trust. We can be friendly, we can be charming, we can even date for months and still keep certain parts of ourselves locked up. But when you've proven through your words and your actions that you're genuine, that you're consistent, that you're not just here for the good times, that's when we start to open the doors. And once those doors open, you get to see a side of a man that the rest of the world does. That's the beauty of making a man feel valued. You're not just earning his love, you're earning his loyalty. And loyalty from a man who's emotionally invested, that's a powerful thing. He's not going to be swayed by every little distraction. He's not going to play games with your time. He's going to think about you when he makes decisions. He's going to consider your happiness alongside his own. It also changes the way he loves you. A man who feels truly valued loves with intention. He doesn't just say, I love you because it sounds good. He backs it up with actions. He becomes more attentive, more protective, more giving, not because you demanded it, but because he wants to. Because when you make a man feel like his efforts matter, he'll naturally want to give you more of his best. And here's something a lot of people overlook. When you value a man, you inspire him to grow. Not in a way that's pressured or forced, but in a way that comes from within. He starts wanting to do better, be better, and show up stronger because he knows he has someone in his corner who believes in him. And when a man feels like you believe in him, he starts to believe in himself even more. That's why this one move, making him feel valued, is so different from all the little games and tactics people try to use. Games fade. Tactics get old. But genuine connection lasts. And that connection is what creates a relationship where both people are giving, both people are growing, and both people feel secure. You also have to understand the kind of value I'm talking about isn't based on perfection. You're not valuing him only when he's at his best. You're valuing him even when life is hard, even when things aren't going perfectly. That's when it means the most. Because it's easy to love somebody when everything's going right. The real test is whether you can show them appreciation, respect, and care when things are challenging. Men remember that. We remember who stood by us when we were still figuring things out. We remember who saw us as worthy before we had it all together. And when you're that person for a man, you'll never have to wonder where you stand with him, because you'll be the one he's thinking about when he plans his future, the one he trusts with his dreams, and the one he'll fight to keep by his side. So when you understand the power of this move, you stop chasing attention and start building connection. You stop worrying about doing more